There is a mitzvah in this week's parsha that all offerings that was brought on the mizbeach, on the altar, whether it was meat offering or grain offering, needed to be salted first, and only after you pour salt on the offering could you put it on the altar. What is the spiritual meaning behind this mitzvah, and how is it relevant to our lives today when we don't have the holy temple? Chassidus gives this beautiful explanation. The offerings represents our service to God, our Torah study, prayer, mitzvos, and good deeds. Those that we give up of ourselves to serve God and others. Salt represents the bitterness of our lives, whether our physical bitterness, mental bitterness, emotional bitterness, all these bitterness and darkness of our lives. Says the Torah, all of your offerings need to have salt, which means that the purpose of the bitterness and challenges of our lives is not to demoralize us and get us down, but rather to subdue it and use the energy of our bitterness and darkness to serve Hashem and do mitzvos and do goodness. And when we use the energy of our bitterness to do good and do mitzvos, it adds an extra flavor to the service of God. Just like salt, salt has two opposing properties. On the one hand, salt is bitter. You can't just take salt and eat it. But on the other hand, if you use a little bit salt, you add it to the food, it adds a delicious flavor to the food. And the same is true. When we subdue our darkness and we use all of our bitter energy to serve God and to do good and bring light, that adds an extra delightful flavor in our mitzvos and service to Hashem. As the Torah says, nachas ruach, it causes an extra aroma and pleasure in the eyes of Hashem. Have a very good Shabbos.